What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So over the last 24 hours, a lot has happened here with the situation revolving around Activision Blizzard and that lawsuit that they're currently facing in California. We have executives at Blizzard resigning. We have investors now pushing back with their own lawsuit, and even workers at Activision and studios around Activision coming together to push back with a letter of their own, and we're going to go over all of that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about update data that was found on Nintendo's servers that could be pointing towards a big game maybe showing up here pretty soon, which could also point to a Nintendo Indie World coming up. And we are also going to be talking about Halo Infinite and how its release timing may have appeared online by accident thanks to a partnered advertiser. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Microsoft and a new Xbox Series controller. You can see it here. This is called the Aqua Shift Special Edition, and according to Microsoft, the Aqua Shift is the first special edition Xbox Series X and S controller to feature rubberized side grips with a unique dual color swirl on every unit. And I mean, the color itself looks pretty cool. I mean, we have the rubberized grip on the side there that has that interesting design, that kind of dual color swirl. And I like the idea of having the option of a rubberized side grip, which would remind me of what we have with the Xbox Elite controllers. This one is going to be priced at $69.99, and it's currently slated to release right at the end of this month with participating retailers, and pre-orders are now open. And it seems like Microsoft has already done a bunch of controllers this generation, like the first year or so, but remember, during the Xbox One generation, they had a ton of controllers. So this is more or less business as usual, but make sure you check it out and get it pre-ordered if you're interested. Also, it looks like we now know when the play tests are going to be for Battlefield 2042, and it's coming up here pretty soon based on an email that is now being sent out by EA. We can head over here to VGC, where they say 6 playtest sessions will be available between August 12th and August 15th, 5 lasting for 3 hours and the other one for 9 hours, according to email invites distributed by EA and viewed by VGC. Now, these were originally going to take place in July, but they were delayed to give DICE the opportunity to test the game's recently announced cross-play functionality. It appears that a few thousand people will be participating in this, and this is a much more controlled beta where I'm sure they can play around with things like matchmaking settings based on, I'm sure, regions and all of this, and just for the most part, make sure the servers are operational. And I'm sure they're going to run into a ton of issues there as they work towards their September open beta, which will be much larger and have many more people involved. And I'm looking forward to trying out Battlefield 2042 during the open beta, because I don't think I'm getting into this closed beta here. And like I said, this won't even really be, I think, as an exciting playtest to take part in. That'll be more towards the open beta as we work towards the overall launch of a multiplayer-only game, so it makes sense why they would be holding all these play sessions and tests here to make sure it's at least good enough when it launches. There's going to be a lot of people trying the game out when it does drop, and it's a multiplayer-only game, which tells me the servers will probably be overloaded. So it's not going to launch perfect, but as best they can. That's why we have these play tests, and I'll be looking forward to that open beta in September. Oh, and I have some bad news for people who are hoping that Beyond Good and Evil 2 would release on the Xbox One and the PS4. Actually, did any of you believe now, anyway, that Beyond Good and Evil 2 was going to release on the PS4 and the Xbox One? Well, it looks like on Reset Era, a person did notice that if you go to the page that Ubisoft has set up where you can take part in different betas that they have and playtests, it looks like the option for Xbox One and PS4 has been removed for Beyond Good and Evil 2, just leaving PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. I mean, did anyone really think it was still going to come out on the Xbox One and the PS? We're just hoping this game comes out in general. Really, we're just hoping it comes out during this generation, especially after what we've seen so far since it was revealed, and then it's kind of disappeared now, and we've heard about Skull and Bones turning in this like 8 or 9 year development cycle, and it's all over the place. Like I said, at this point, I'm just hoping it comes out in like the next 5 or 6 years. Like I said, during this generation. It'd be a shame if they have to then remove the PS5 and the Xbox Series selection so they can make room for the PS6 and, I don't know, whatever Microsoft calls their next system. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with the situation around Activision Blizzard and this lawsuit in the state of California. Now, it was announced yesterday that the president of Blizzard was resigning. We can head over here to VGC, where they say a statement on the Activision Blizzard website from president and COO reveals that Brack will be leaving to pursue new opportunities. This being J. Allen Brack, who was specifically named in that lawsuit. And not many people were named necessarily, but J. Allen Brack was front and center with a couple of different allegations around him being pretty aware of what was happening. But replacing J. Allen Brack will be Jen O'Neill and Mike Ybarra. And Mike Ybarra, remember, left Microsoft or Xbox to go to Blizzard as the executive vice president. Now he's at the top of Blizzard along with Jen O'Neill. And along with J. Allen Brack leaving, there's also Blizzard's head of HR, Jesse Meschik. This, according to Jason Schreier at Bloomberg, is also no longer at the company. And it was pretty obvious with how bad this lawsuit is and all the different things that were outlined that a person who would be named, who is the president of Blizzard, would probably have to leave the picture. And I mean, they're kind of dressing it up as pursuing new opportunities. It's pretty clear this is a result of the lawsuit and being specifically called out. And I think this is a pretty big deal for Blizzard, like as an entity, because there's a chance now that Bobby Kotick and Activision look at Blizzard and they're like, maybe we'll just kind of not necessarily absorb them, but we've already talked about how Blizzard had become very Activision-like anyway, and maybe they just sort of slowly push them into Activision as just becoming another studio for them, basically, especially with like Mike Ybarra at the top there and Jen O'Neill being newly put at the top. It's possible that that's kind of what happens here with Blizzard now, with J. Allen Brack kind of stepping aside. We also have a new workers coalition being formed at Activision Blizzard. We can see on Game Rant the recent lawsuit filed against Activision Blizzard by the state of California. It's caused lots of information to come out, resulting in an employee walkout, which we did talk about last week. This new group is known as the ABK Workers Alliance and has sent a joint letter to Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick. I'm sure he'll get right on reading that one. And his executive leadership team, this open letter criticizes Activision Blizzard's decision to hire the Wilmer Hale law firm as a third-party auditor to review the company and create a healthier workplace. We can see on Twitter they did list out several demands, including an end to mandatory arbitration clauses in all employee contracts, current and future, publication of data on relative compensation, which includes equity grants and profit sharing, and empower a company-wide diversity, equity, and inclusion task force to hire a third party to audit ABK's reporting structure, HR department, and executive staff. And according to IGN, the letter itself was signed by several employees from a ton of different Activision Blizzard studios, which includes Beanox, Blizzard Entertainment, High Moon Studios, Infinity Ward, King, Raven Software, Sledgehammer Games, and Vicarious Visions. And really the biggest thing they're pointing out is that Bobby Kotick has done a terrible job responding to this as like the head of Activision, right? The CEO, you figure he'd be first up to give some statements and try to figure all of this out. And he didn't really say anything until the stock price started to fall. In fact, it's still falling to the point where investors are not happy and they're actually forming their own lawsuit. We can head over here, this on Kotaku, where they say a class action lawsuit filed today in the U.S. District Court of Central California on behalf of investors alleges that Activision Blizzard's intentional failure to disclose its ongoing problems with sexual harassment and discrimination artificially inflated the company's stock value. In layman's terms, if investors had known the extent of Activision Blizzard's issue, they wouldn't have invested in its stock. And I mean, you just take a look at the stock here over the last month. Yeah, it's down 15% and it just continues to fall. And that's just really what's out there now around Activision Blizzard isn't something that investors are exactly running to dump their money into. And despite Activision on their conference call yesterday with investors trying to smooth things over and say things like, oh, the new Call of Duty game, yeah, it's coming out, and which they haven't really said much. And really that's what investors, care about really. It's like, all right, how are we going to make money this quarter? Oh, Call of Duty is coming out. All right, great. That sells a ton. But what if Call of Duty didn't sell as much as they were expecting because of all of this? And that's what investors are obviously concerned about right now. It's the money, right? But still, that's something, all of this, they would have liked to have known about, these working conditions that are being outlined in this lawsuit. And the fact that California had been investigating them for like 2 years now. If I was an investor putting in large sums of money, yeah, I'd probably want to know that. Now, to be honest, I don't think this lawsuit's gonna go very far. It's just them kind of throwing it out there and saying we're gonna put some pressure here on Activision. But I mean, the biggest thing is Bobby Kotick is just seemingly hanging out. I mean, there have been some statements released by him, but like I said, it was in accordance with the stock price falling. And now we see the president of Blizzard leaving. And I do wonder if really Bobby Kotick will see any consequence from this or any kind of pushback overall if, say, Call of Duty doesn't sell well, because as I said, that's the biggest thing here with investors. Its overall performance. Will all of this, at the end of the day, affect what truly matters to Activision and Bobby Kotick at the top? That being the bottom line. I guess we'll find out this holiday. Next up, let's talk about update data that's been found on Nintendo's servers that could be pointing to a highly anticipated title releasing soon. We'll head over here to Nintendo Everything, where they say Axiom Verge 2 could be just on the horizon. Update data has surfaced on Nintendo's servers, which suggests the game might be launching very soon. We've seen this with some games before. I believe like it's been pointed out, like Fortnite, Paladins. Then some games have just leaked out from different updates. Remember, Republic Commando was just found on Nintendo servers because of an update that was pushed to the server itself. And Axiom Verge has been delayed a couple of times now, and we are waiting to hear more about it, as its release window is targeting, I believe, like the second half of this year. So, I mean, we're midway through it now, and we would expect Nintendo to have an Indie World, I figure, coming up here, like maybe even this month, couple of weeks from now. And I know a lot of people are looking forward to maybe a big direct in September. It's very possible. You could also see a partner showcase maybe thrown out there at that time, and Nintendo maybe really is just like, we'll see you guys in January, because they do, I would say, have the rest of this year figured out, right? I mean, we have some pretty good games coming up with Pokemon still coming out at the end of this year, and then they're starting up January with another Pokemon title. But for the indie side of things, I think that'd be a good idea to have stuff like Axiom Verge 2 shown, and Sports Story, that's the big one. And I know most of you are probably yelling it right now, yes, Hollow Knight Silksong. Although, I do wonder if Hollow Knight Silksong has gotten to the level where you could upgrade it to just a full-on direct. I mean, seriously, that's one that has had a lot of buzz behind it, to where it probably is to that level where you could, I don't want to say close out with it in direct, but I think you could open a full direct with Hollow Knight Silksong, and people be really excited, especially if you have a solid release date. But Axiom Verge 2, that's a big title, and the fact that it is seeing some updates here on Nintendo servers does sound like they are preparing it to not only be shown, but also released here pretty soon. So exciting stuff for Axiom Verge fans. Next up, let's talk about Xbox Game Pass and several games that will be finding its way into that service this month. We can head over here to the news.xbox site that does have a nice little card here showing off many of the games. Some of them aren't in there though, and that has to do with a lot of EA Play titles that will be making its way to the service. But we'll start here. On August 5th, we have Curse of the Dead Gods, that's cloud console and PC. Dodgeball Academy, that's cloud console and PC. Katamari Damacy Reroll, cloud console and PC. That's a fun game to check out if you're not familiar with Katamari at all. You might as well. It's on Game Pass. Make sure you check that one out. And then we have Luminous Remastered, that's cloud console and PC. Interestingly enough, they have Skate and Skate 3. So Skate is on console, that's through EA Play, and then Skate 3 is going to be heading to the cloud, that through EA Plays. That's kind of fun. I see Skate 3 be available to more people through xCloud or game streaming there. And then we have Starmancer, that's in-game preview on PC. Moving to August 12th, we have Art of Rally, that's cloud console and PC. August 13th, we have the highly anticipated release on the Xbox of Hades into Game Pass. That's cloud console and PC. Absolutely, you should be checking out Hades if you have not. There is zero reason to not check out Hades, especially with it being in Game Pass. Awesome title there. August 17th, we have Microsoft Solitaire Collection Premium Edition. All right, then, that's on PC. And then they also have several games kind of rolling into EA Play, that starting August 10th with Dirt 4, Dirt Rally 2.0, F1 2020, and Grid. And then just to make sure everyone's aware, I do like to go over the games that will be leaving Game Pass, because remember, as games come in, other games will leave. So leaving August 8th is Grand Theft Auto 5, that on cloud and console. And then leaving on August 15th is Ape Out on PC, Crossing Souls on PC, Darksiders Genesis on cloud console and PC, Don't Starve on cloud console and PC, Final Fantasy VII, that on console and PC, and then Train Sim World 2020 cloud console and PC. But overall, pretty good month here for Game Pass. Certainly make sure you check out Hades. I mean, that's probably at the top of most people's list, looking down what they have here for Game Pass. But also check out something like Katamari. That's kind of what this service, I think, should really be for, is checking out that weird game that maybe you've seen, but you're like, I don't really want to buy it for $20 and take a chance on it. Now's a great time, just download it and try it out. Or if you're new to the Skate series, maybe you saw a lot of the hype around Skate 4 and people really excited online. I mean, the original Skate is going into Game Pass, and Skate 3 is part of cloud gaming with this update, so check out those as well. But so far, so good in the month of August for Game Pass. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Halo Infinite and how its release timing or its release window may have been dropped online through an advertisement with Krispy Kreme. Yeah, the donut. Let's head over here to Twitter, where we can see Xbox Mexico did tweet this out, and through good old Google Translate, it says, "Why wait for November if we can start the festivities now? Xbox Mexico and Krispy Kreme, we celebrate 20 years of the Master Chief with a special edition Halo Infinite donut, available July 20th. Now, a lot of people looked at that tweet from Xbox Mexico and said, well, they may have just told us the timing for release of Halo Infinite. What I think this tweet is referring to is like the 20-year anniversary of Master Chief. Because remember, Halo Combat Evolved on the original Xbox came out in November of 2001, which means that November 2021 would be 20 years. Now, I think that would also be a good way to release Halo Infinite on kind of like the 20th anniversary or around that time. You could do like 20 years of Master Chief and all of that with the marketing. But that would put it pretty close to a couple of things. One, Forza Horizon 5, which is out that month. And then 2, you do start to kind of get up against when the big holiday season starts. You have some holidays, obviously, with Thanksgiving right there at the end. So there would be a pretty small window for Halo Infinite to release in. I would have liked to have seen them get it out earlier in September. Don't think that's going to happen as we're into August now, but I guess they could release the game whenever they want, considering the multiplayer is the big focus from Microsoft right now, and that's free to play. They could technically do an open beta for like a month, call it an open beta when really it's the release of the game, and then drop the campaign in November if they want. So there are a couple ways they could go about this. Unfortunately, I think this tweet is specifically referring to the 20-year anniversary of Master Chief that's happening this November. But that's still a good time to launch Halo Infinite, I think, to have that as their marketing. And before we go to the comment of the day, I'll tell you the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, which August video game release are you most excited for? We have 37% saying Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, which there are still people who have not played Ghost of Tsushima that I've talked to, like Sean never played it on the PS4, so this is gonna be his first run through for the game. And I mean, I really enjoyed the game on the PS4. I'm sure I'll have a lot of fun with this new island and the PS5 enhancements and all of that there. Then we have Psychonauts 2 at 25%. I've been waiting quite a while for the sequel to Psychonauts, so I'm looking forward to that one. And then No More Heroes 3, same deal there at 24%. Then we have Aliens Fireteam Elite at 8%, and then Madden 22 at 5%. I saw some people in the comments say none of these games, and I get it. I looked at August and I said, yeah, there's not like any massive release that I think everyone's gonna say, yep, that's the game right there I'm really excited for. But I think as we get into September and October and November, we'll see more of those games. So I'm just excited to check out things like Psychonauts 2, No More Heroes 3, and the new island that we're gonna see in Ghost of Tsushima. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from the Don saying, joke's on us, Rockstar and Nintendo pair up to make a GTA 5 edition and everyone buys it. Again, yeah, if GTA 5 went to the Switch, I do think it would sell a number of copies. I'm not going to say it's like all of a sudden a 10 or 20 million unit seller on the Switch, but certainly several million, I would say there, just working to inflate the numbers all over again. The word, or at least the rumor, was that there was an attempt to get GTA 5 on the Switch, but they had issues. I feel like it's around the storage requirements when you get to the cartridges or GTA Online, and I guess how large that game has gotten in terms of its file size. Let me know if you're someone who's still playing Grand Theft Auto Online like regularly. Let me know how large that game is now in 2021, because it seemed like the big hang-up for the Switch was Grand Theft Auto Online working correctly on the system. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Was the Activision Blizzard situation with investors and employees pushing back, and even the president at Blizzard resigning. Also, what about this Axiom Verge 2 update? Do you think this is pointing to a big indie show coming up here soon, maybe in the next month? And then what about Halo Infinite? When do you think that game's coming out this holiday? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.